Okay, I'm gonna choose a movie that you probably didn't see coming.
Love it.
So we are doing the staff recommendation shelf for hand-to-hand combat. I am going to choose 1996's The Cable Guy.
Did not see this coming.
This movie is directed by Ben Stiller, who has quietly had a really interesting career.
Yeah.
But let's take a look at the back of the box here. A lonely and mentally disturbed cable guy raised on television wants a new friend, but his target, a designer, rejects him with bad consequences. That's a lot of commas in that sentence.
It is.
Tagline, there's no such thing as free cable.
Well, yeah, actually, it makes sense.
This was a time when Jim Carrey was the biggest star in the world.
Oh, yeah.
He was coming off, these are the movies that directly preceded this one. Ace Ventura, The Mask, Batman Forever, and Ace Ventura 2. And I know this doesn't make sense for people who are probably 20 years younger than us, but those movies were fucking huge.
Oh, yeah.
Like the Ace Ventura movies are not good. I don't return to them. I barely saw them in the first place. But they were the biggest movies in the fucking world.
Yeah.
And that was in a space of 1 year he made all four of those movies.
That's unbelievable. Wait, 1 year he made all four of those?
All four of those movies. Ace Ventura and then The Mask came out within like a month of each other or something crazy. And then Batman Forever was his next movie. And then his next movie was Ace Ventura 2, which came out less than a year after the first one, I think, and made hundreds of millions of dollars.
What? My God.
And before Ace Ventura came out, almost nobody knew who this guy was. And he instantly became the biggest star in the world for a year.
Oh, yeah. And, while there's a lot of the Jim Carrey that you see in those other movies in The Cable Guy, it's definitely a different movie from those. I mean, it's a dark. I'm sure you're going to talk a lot about it. But in spite of that, it didn't derail his career because from here he went on to Liar Liar, The Truman Show, Man on the Moon. I mean, like it. Yeah. It just helped propel him forward.
Yeah, he's a really interesting guy. That documentary about him that came out a few years ago was really interesting. He has a lot of things to say nowadays and I think he just kind of retired as well. He was just like, this business sucks now. It's not fun to do this anymore. He's like, and even a guy like him can't get the movies made that he wants. I think his last movie was Sonic 2.
Yeah.
Right. And he was just like, fuck this. He's like, I'm Jim Carrey. like at least let me do something. I'll do it for free. Just let me do something interesting. And it's not out there. But I think if my memory's right, this was the Cable Guy was the first movie that somebody made $20 million to do. And it was Jim Carrey. He was paid $20 million. That was the first time someone got a $20 million paycheck to be in a movie.
Wow. I didn't know that.
And it kind of created this whole new generation of movie stars.
Indeed.
I have to believe that a lot of people are immediately turned off by the first 10 minutes of this movie because Jim Carrey is just amazingly obnoxious, completely off-putting.
Yeah. And
even every time I watch this movie, and I return to it every couple of years, every time I watch it, I'm just like, oh my God. Maybe I don't want to watch this.
Right.
Because it's just so obnoxious.
Yeah.
But in an interesting way, this movie, it predicts our internet culture.
Very accurately.
Almost to the word.
Yes.
Here's a quote from Chip or Jim Carrey's character. Mm-hmm. Soon every American home will integrate their television, phone, and computer. You'll be able to visit the Louvre on one channel or watch female wrestling on another. You can do your shopping at home or play Mortal Kombat with a friend from Vietnam. There's no end to the possibilities. And that last sentence is certainly very true.
Oh, yeah. And just a reminder, this came out in 96.
Yes.
The iPhone came out in 2007. And
The idea of a smartphone was not on the drawing board for 99.9% of the population.
Right.
And so this was like, they weren't predicting the smartphone per se, but yeah, this is the world they were predicting.
Right. I mean, they were certainly ahead of playing video games against people on the other side of the planet.
There were people saying this, but I don't think anybody thought it was actually going to happen.
Right.
Now, The Cable Guy is not a movie that's built around hand-to-hand combat, and it doesn't have much hand-to-hand combat. But to me, the one fight scene really was my way for me to get into this like slightly difficult movie. And the fight scene is it takes place at a medieval times restaurant where Andy Dick is the king, which is fantastic. Right. And Jim Carrey has set up this situation where they're going to fight, and Matthew Broderick doesn't know what's going to happen. And it turns into like a Star Trek homage, the Spock versus Kirk fight, which I don't know if I've seen the actual episode of that, but it's something that I always have known about. They even have like a cool weapon with it's like a staff with a blade on the one end and something else on the other. But this fight at the medieval times restaurant is the moment that we realize that Jim Carrey is just like full on mental, and he's got those crazy eyes, and we know he's an extremely dangerous person, and he's probably going to hurt or kill somebody unless there's some intervention here. But I find the scene hilarious. And it really, to me, it unlocked the comedy of Jim Carrey's character and the movie as a whole. I think it's a really interesting piece to Jim Carrey's career. I think it's a really interesting piece to Ben Stiller's career. This movie has a reputation as kind of being like the off Jim Carrey movie. And actually funny, at that time, it kind of was, but the budget for the movie was $47 million. It made $102 million.
Wow.
And it was considered a disappointment. That's how big of a star Jim Carrey was at this time.
My gosh. I'll say two things about this. One is that if Andy Dick had not become an actor, I would absolutely believe that the next place that I would expect to find him would be at a medieval times restaurant working in some capacity.
He might be doing that kind of stuff right now.
He might be. Yeah, might be a side hustle.
I've seen him on the internet. I swear to God, I saw a tweet from him or something. This was a while ago, but I think to me it seemed genuine. He was basically saying like, "I just got kicked out of my apartment. I need somewhere to go." Like, I swear to God. So,
oh wow!
Like, Andy Dick, I hope he's doing all right. King Andy Dick.
King Andy Dick. The other thing is that this movie plays like a horror movie to me because the idea of somebody who you do not want in your life latching themselves onto you and desperately wanting to become your friend and forcing friendship into my life is personally terrifying.
It's terrifying. Yeah. And it's like so uncomfortable, and I think it's like a lot of horror movies. You tell yourself like, that wouldn't happen to me.
Right.
I can get out of it.
Yeah.
But I guess it's happening to somebody.
It is. And the fact that it's a more believable type of horror than you ever experience in the horror genre. Oh, it's unsettling. It's unsettling.
Very much so.